Every time life becomes uncomfortable, you make a decision. Maybe you don't even notice it. You reach for your phone instead of facing the work in front of you. You react with anger instead of thinking. You avoid difficult conversations because they're easier to postpone than confront. At first, these decisions feel harmless. But over time, they quietly train your mind to escape pressure instead of mastering it. That's how weakness is built, not in one dramatic moment, but in thousands of small choices that teach your brain comfort is more important than growth. Now imagine someone who made the opposite choice. Someone who remained calm while everyone else panicked. Someone who understood that emotions are useful servants but terrible leaders. That's one of the reasons Thomas Shelby became such a fascinating character. People don't admire him because he was fearless. They admire him because fear rarely controlled his decisions. And that's the difference. Mental strength isn't the absence of emotion. It's the ability to think clearly while emotions are demanding control. Psychologists call this emotional regulation. Your brain has two competing systems. One reacts instantly. The other thinks carefully before acting. The reactive system exists to keep you alive. It makes you defensive, impulsive, easily distracted. The thinking system is slower. It asks better questions. It calculates consequences. It sacrifices short-term comfort for long-term results. Every time you pause before reacting, you strengthen that second system. Every emotional outburst weakens it. This is why mentally strong people often appear calm. They're not emotionless. They're simply choosing which part of their mind gets to speak. Thomas Shelby represents this idea throughout the story. He rarely wastes words. He studies people before revealing his intentions. He doesn't rush into every conflict. Silence becomes one of his greatest advantages. Most people fear silence. They rush to explain themselves. They argue. They defend their pride. But silence creates information. When you speak less, you observe more. You notice body language, patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. The Stoic philosophers understood this centuries ago. You cannot control other people. You cannot control luck. You cannot control the past. But you always control your response. That's where real power begins. Think about your own life. How often do you allow someone else's opinion to determine your mood? One negative comment ruins your day. One rejection convinces you to quit. One failure becomes your identity. That's not reality. That's your interpretation. Your mind is telling a story. The problem is you've believed every story without questioning it. Mental toughness begins the moment you challenge your own thoughts. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," ask, "What's the next intelligent move?" Those questions immediately shift your brain from emotion into strategy. And strategy is where progress lives. Another reason people remain mentally weak is because they constantly seek stimulation. Every notification, every short video, every unnecessary distraction trains your attention to become shorter. Focus becomes painful. Deep work feels impossible. Your brain begins expecting rewards every few seconds. Eventually, discipline feels like punishment. This is exactly why protecting your attention has become one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Your attention is your future. Whatever consistently captures it eventually shapes your identity. Guard it carefully. Thomas Shelby also understood another uncomfortable truth. Respect isn't demanded. It's earned through consistency. People trust calm leaders because calm communicates control. Imagine entering a difficult meeting. Everyone else is anxious. Voices are rising. Emotions are taking over. Then one person speaks slowly, confidently, without needing approval. Who naturally gains influence? Usually the calmest person in the room. Confidence isn't loud. Chaos is. Real confidence speaks quietly because it doesn't need constant validation. That brings us to discipline. Most people think discipline means forcing yourself to suffer. It doesn't. Discipline simply means making decisions based on your future instead of your feelings. Feelings change every hour. Principles don't. When you rely on motivation, your performance becomes unpredictable. When you rely on systems, progress becomes inevitable. Start smaller than your ego wants. Wake up when you promised. Finish one difficult task before checking your phone. Keep your word even when nobody is watching. These actions seem ordinary, but your brain remembers every promise you keep. Each one builds self-trust, and self-trust becomes confidence, not the fake confidence that comes from compliments, the quiet confidence that comes from evidence. Evidence that you can depend on yourself. There's another lesson hidden beneath Thomas Shelby's composure. He rarely fought unnecessary battles. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. Some victories cost more than they're worth. Strategic people understand that protecting peace often creates greater power than proving a point. Ask yourself something. What battles are quietly draining your life? Arguments online? People committed to misunderstanding you? Habits you already know are destroying your focus? Walking away isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's the highest form of self-control. Because the strongest mind isn't the one that wins every fight. It's the one that chooses the right fights. In the end, becoming mentally unbreakable isn't about becoming cold. It isn't about pretending pain doesn't exist. It's about refusing to let pain become your master. Pressure will always exist. Criticism will always exist. Failure will always exist. But so will choice. Every difficult moment asks the same question. Will you react? Or will you respond? The answer to that question shapes your future more than talent, intelligence, or luck ever will. So the next time life tests your patience, don't ask how to escape the pressure. Ask how to become the kind of person pressure can no longer control. Because the strongest people aren't born different. They simply train their minds until discipline becomes their default. Emotional control becomes their advantage, and every setback becomes another opportunity to sharpen their character. That's how you stop surviving life and start mastering the game.